Hello and welcome to your daily sports update for March the 5th, 2024. My name is Lewis. If you're unfamiliar with our channel, we give you a basic quick update over the sports scores, a little bit of details on there. As I've said before, kind of so you can do your water cooler talk and have a little bit of information on everything that went on. And we're going to get right into it. There's a little bit of football. We like to start with something easy. The Seattle Seahawks cut Pro Bowlers Jamal Adams, Quandre Diggs, and Will Dissly on Tuesday. Adams was set to make 16.5 million this coming season and 26.9 million the following count for that much against the salary cap, but it was non-guaranteed, so they end up releasing him, which takes the 16.5 off the books, as well as what was non-guaranteed for the next season, 17.5. As far as Diggs, it frees up $11 million in cap space. And as far as Dissly, it clears $7 million in cap space. So the Seahawks doing a lot of cutting there for their roster. The Patriots did something that's only been done 5 times prior in the last 15 seasons, and that's used a transition tag. And the transition tag for this particular player was Kyle Duggar, and it's for $13.8 million, and it's the average of the top 10 salaries for safety. Only 5 other players had received that tag in the past 15 years, like I just said. And Duggar can still sign a sheet with another team, and the Patriots would have an opportunity to match the offer. The only difference is if they decline, they get no draft pick compensation. So we'll see how well that works. In case you're wondering, the other players were Kenyon Drake in 2020, Kyle Fuller in 2018, Charles Clay in 2015, and center Alex Mack and linebacker Jason I can never say his name back then, Worlds, both of those two back in 2017. So we'll see if that works out well for the Patriots. In top 25 action for the men's college basketball, there were quite a few games, so let's go ahead and go over them. Number 25, Dayton were winners 100-83 at St. Louis. South Florida wins at home against Tulane 85-72. UNLV winners at home against number 21 San Diego State 62-58. Number 16 Alabama loses at Florida 105-87. Number 14 Kansas winners at home against K-State 90-68. Number 13 Auburn big winners on the road at Missouri 101-74. Number 7 North Carolina winners at home against Notre Dame 84-51. And in a matchup of top 15 teams, number 3 Purdue wins at Illinois 77-71. So that'll be a big win for Purdue as it comes to ranking selections next week. On the floor for women's top 25 action, we have a whole whopping one game. Number 23 UNLV wins at Utah State 104-44. Now, in case you're wondering, UNLV at this point is 27-2 on the season, 17-1 in conference. Their opponent, Utah State, 5-24 on the season, only 2-16 in conference. So while it was a big separation in the scores, it sounds like there was a big separation as far as the performance on the season too. That's it for your women's top 25 action. As far as our hockey scores, because we try to get hockey in there as well, in a tight one, the Dallas Stars win in overtime at San Jose 7-6. These teams scored 4 goals in all 3 periods before the overtime. Stars, and they both scored 2 in the first. Sharks outscored the Stars 3-1 in the second, and the Stars outscored the Sharks 3-1 in the third. And then the Sharks get the overtime goal. Also in overtime, Vancouver wins at the Kings 2-1. The Blackhawks win 5-2 at the Phoenix Coyotes. The Winnipeg Jets at home, losers to Seattle 4-3. A lot of road wins here. The Montreal Canadiens in overtime win on the road against Nashville 4-3. The Islanders, one of the few home winners, victorious against the Blues 4-2. The Pittsburgh Penguins, winners at home against the Blue Jackets, 5-3. The Panthers on the road win at the Devils, 5-3. And my hometown Bruins, losers at home in overtime, 2-1 to the Oilers. As we look at the standings right now as it sits, the Florida Panthers are in first place in the Atlantic Division with 90 points. They are 3 points ahead of the Bruins, who have 87. Toronto Maple Leafs third place with 78. In fact, let's see if I can. Nope, I don't have the ability to do it here. I was going to see if we could look up what the playoff record would look like. So we'll sit here. In the Metropolitan, the New York Rangers lead with 84 points. Second place behind them is the Carolina Hurricanes with 78. And third place are the Philadelphia Flyers with 72 points. In the Western Conference, Dallas leads the Central Division with 85 points. The Winnipeg Jets are second with 83 points. Colorado comes in third with 81 points. And in the Pacific, the top scoring team out west, or at least as far as team scores, is Vancouver with 87 points. Second place are the Oilers with 78 points. Third place is a tie between the Kings and the Vegas Golden Knights, both with 73 points. That's your hockey update. In basketball, I'm going to try to keep this quick and painless for everybody. I do want to mention that, let's see, Jalen Brunson was still out for Tuesday. Same thing for Donovan Mitchell, but you'll see how Donovan Mitchell one will be. Andrew Wiggins will be returning to play against the Bucks for Golden State, so good news there. Now, I mentioned the idea of Donovan Mitchell missing time. Might sound like something if it wasn't for the fact of the big 21-point blown lead by the Celtics as the Cavaliers win at home 105-104 against the Celtics. Cavaliers were led in scoring by D. Wade. No, not Dwayne. He didn't come back. But Dean Wade, who scored 23 points, including 20 in the fourth quarter to outscore the Celtics, who only had 17 points in the fourth quarter. Jarrett Allen also provided 21 points and 12 rebounds for the Cavaliers. For the Celtics, they got 24 points from Kristaps Porzingis. He also had 9 rebounds. They also got 26 points from Jason Tatum, who had 13 rebounds, and 21 points came from Jaylen Brown. Now, Tatum's 26 might have been more. There was a foul call late, and then it was overturned to say that it wasn't a foul. So no free throws. It ended up as a missed shot. Cavaliers win the tap right after and run out the clock, and they come out with the victory. Again, 105-104. Cleveland improves to 40-21 on the season. Celtics with just their 13th loss on the season, 48-13. In other games, the Orlando Magic were winners on the road against the Hornets, 101-89. Paolo Banchero scored 22 points to lead the Magic. For Charlotte, here's a name I haven't said much. Vasily Mychik had 21 points, and Trey Mann had 18 to lead the Hornets. They also got 18 from Brandon Miller. There we go, familiar name. Miles Bridges, who's usually really good, shot 3 of 16 in this game, only had 7 points. Again, the Magic with a big win on the road, 101-89 against the Hornets. When we go over the standings, you'll see why I said it was a big win. At home, the Brooklyn Nets, winners against the 76ers, 112-107. For the Nets, they were led in scoring by 20 points each from Dorian Finney-Smith and Dennis Schroeder. They both got 20 points. Finney-Smith provided 8 rebounds. They also got a double-double from Nick Claxton with 17 points and 10 rebounds. They also got 19 points off the bench from Lonnie Walker IV, so a well-balanced effort from Brooklyn. For Philadelphia, they were led in scoring off the bench by Kelly Oubre, who poured in 30 points. Tyrese Maxey did not play in this game. And so the leading scorer for the starters was Tobias Harris, who had 18 points. Again, Brooklyn, big win for them in that they're impacting the playoff race for the Sixers. Brooklyn winners 112 to 107. The Miami Heat winners at home against the Detroit Pistons 118 to 110, dropping the Pistons to 9-52 on the season. Miami was led in scoring by Jimmy Butler, who had 26 points on the game. He also had 8 assists. They also got 18 points each from Duncan Robinson and from Bam Adebayo. For the Pistons, they were led in scoring by Cade Cunningham's 23 points. Also had Simone Fontecchio score 22 points off the bench. Miami 118-110 winners against the Pistons. The Hawks, with Jalen Brunson out for the Knicks, were able to get the big win in New York 116 to 100 over the said Knicks. Hawks were led in scoring by Jalen Johnson, who had 26 points. They got 22 points off the bench from DeAndre Hunter, and they also got 21 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists from DeJounte Murray. For the Knicks, they were led in scoring by Dante DiVincenzo, who had 21 points. They also got 19 off the bench from Bojan Bogdanovic, but it wasn't enough. And even though the Knicks win the season series 2-1, the Hawks win this battle 116 to 100. The New Orleans Pelicans winners on the road at Toronto 139 to 98. Big game from Trey Murphy III as he pours in 34 points off the bench. Every starter scored in double figures, but no one over 17 points, which is what Herb Jones had. Zion finished with 16 points, 8 rebounds, 9 assists in just 26 minutes. And Brandon Ingram, 12 points. A quiet game for the starters, but because it was just such a blowout game. For Toronto, they were led in scoring by Emmanuel Quickley, who had 17 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists. They also had 16 points from Gary Trent Jr. And Kelly Olynyk started for the Raptors, got 15 points, 6 rebounds, 7 assists. Again, this game was a blowout. Pelicans winners 139 to 98. Another impactful game for the playoffs, as we'll talk about here in a moment. The Houston Rockets winners at home against the Spurs 114 to 101. The big man, who I keep messing up, and I'm just going to call him Big Al, 45 points, 16 rebounds for the big man. They also got 23 points from Jalen Green, and they got 21 points, 10 assists from Fred VanVleet. For the Spurs, they got 22 points from Devin Vassell. I found out today I was saying it wrong. So Vassell, who also had 8 rebounds with his 22 points. Malachi Branham had 20 points off the bench. Victor, 10 points, 11 rebounds in 31 minutes of action, was 4 of 10 from the field. But a quiet game, and it shows as the Rockets with the 13-point win, 114 to 101. The Pacers back on track, 137 to 120 win over the Mavericks. Pacers were led in scoring by Miles Turner's 20 points. They also got 19 points, 11 assists from Tyrese Halliburton. They also got 19 off the bench from Benedict Mathurin. And 8 players in double figures for the Pacers. For the Mavericks, what can we tell you? Luka Doncic, 39 points, 10 rebounds, 11 assists, another triple-double. And Kyrie Irving chipped in 23 points. P.J. Washington, 20 points with 7 rebounds. Wasn't enough. Indiana with the 17-point win, 137 to 120. Those are 2 playoff teams. And again, I keep saying, wait till the end result to when we talk about the standings. You'll see why. And in the last game of the night, the Phoenix Suns with a big win in overtime in Denver, 117 to 107 over the Nuggets. Kevin Durant chipped in 35 points and 8 rebounds. Grayson Allen, 28 points, filling in for Devin Booker. And Bradley Beal got 16 points for the Suns. For the Nuggets, Usual cast of characters doing their thing. Jamal Murray, 28 points, 7 rebounds, 9 assists. Nikola Jokic, 25 points, 16 rebounds, and 20 points from Michael Porter Jr. However, Aaron Gordon only had 7 points. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, 11 points. 10-point win for the Phoenix Suns over the Denver Nuggets. Only the 6th time the Nuggets have lost at home. Final score 117-107 in overtime. Now, I've been telling you that this is having an impact on the standings, and here's how. So in the West, we have the Minnesota Timberwolves still in first place by a half game over the Oklahoma City Thunder. Half game behind, Oklahoma City's half game behind. 1 full game behind Minnesota are those Denver Nuggets. 3 games back are the LA Clippers. 6 games back, the New Orleans Pelicans. 7 games back, the Phoenix Suns. Now take note, those 6 teams, when you're in the playoffs, you're in the playoffs. No playing game or secondary playing game, none of those things that you are in. Now the teams on the outside for the Final Four. Sacramento is 8 games back of first place. The Dallas Mavericks, 9 games back. The Lakers, 9.5 games back. The Golden State Warriors, 10 games back. And then just so you know, the first team after that is 15 games back, that being the Utah Jazz. So while it looks like for all intents and purposes the 10 teams might be set, anybody can go on a run and that can change. But so far, you see that. The bigger change comes in the East. Boston still clearly in front with a 7.5 game lead over the Milwaukee Bucks, an 8 game lead now only over the Cleveland Cavaliers. 4th place, the Orlando Magic moving 4th with a 12.5 game deficit to catch Boston. Then right behind them, same record, but without the tiebreaker, are the New York Knicks. And then in 6th place is the Miami Heat. Final 4, your Philadelphia 76ers are 13 games back. Same record as the Heat, just without the tiebreaker now. 1 game behind the Sixers are the Indiana Pacers, who are 14 games back. Then here's where you get the rough spots. The Chicago Bulls, 3 games under 500 at 29-32, are your 9th place team, 19 games back. And then the Atlanta Hawks, who are at this point 7 games under 500, 21 games behind first place, but are your 10th place team, which means, in theory, if playoffs were to start today, the Hawks would be playing the Bulls, and if the Hawks win that, then they would have to go on the road against the winner or the loser of the Sixers-Pacers playoff game, and if the Hawks win that, then they can go and move forward to play Boston. So anyway, good full slate of NBA games, and honestly, it was just a collapse by the Celtics is the big piece to take out of the NBA games. But also remember, Cleveland did their job. They said they didn't want to quit, and they just kept playing, and it makes a good lesson for the kids out there. Anyway, those are your updates from the day of sports. If you like, please definitely like the channel, like the video. Otherwise, until tomorrow, you have yourself a wonderful day.